929 words, within the 855-945 target range. Here's the final script. There is a legal mechanism called the Congressional Accountability Act's Office of Compliance. It appears in no law you've ever read unless you went looking, and it has handled workplace claims against United States senators since January 23, 1995, while producing zero public record. No docket, no case numbers, no public filings. It is, in practical terms, a private courthouse operating inside the Capitol, and the people who fund it are barred from ever seeing what happens inside it. Here is what it literally is. When a Senate employee is harassed, discriminated against, or retaliated against, they cannot walk into federal court the way you or I could sue an employer. They must first enter this system, and the clock starts on the institution's terms, not theirs. It opens with 30 days of confidential counseling. Then 30 more days of confidential mediation. Only after both stages, sealed by law from the moment they begin, can a case even move toward a hearing. And that hearing happens before an administrative officer, not a judge, in a room the public cannot enter, with a transcript the public cannot request, and a ruling the public will likely never see. Congress built this for itself in 1995 as the Congressional Accountability Act, and on paper, that sounds like accountability. Lawmakers were finally agreeing to follow the same workplace, safety, and civil rights laws they had written for everyone else. OSHA rules, the Americans with Disabilities Act, the Family and Medical Leave Act. But look at the mechanism they chose to enforce it. Instead of opening themselves to the same courts, same juries, same public exposure as any other employer in America, they built a separate, closed system and named an internal body, the Office of Compliance, to run it. The vote that created it was public, recorded, and celebrated. The process it created was engineered, from the first line of the statute, never to be either. Today that office is called the Office of Congressional Workplace Rights, renamed in 2018 after the system's confidentiality nearly buried it for good. Its governing board is 5 members, appointed to staggered terms by the same congressional leadership whose colleagues the system exists to judge. There is no outside oversight body watching the watchers, no inspector general looking in. The Treasury Department's permanent judgment fund, ordinary taxpayer money, not campaign funds, not personal wealth, quietly pays out whatever settlements this private courthouse produces. And until December 2017, the law itself made it a violation for the victim to say who paid, how much, or why. Now remember, no one outside that building voted for the specific shape this process takes. And here is what it actually holds over ordinary people. In late 2017, reporting forced open a number the system was built to keep sealed. More than $17 million in taxpayer money paid out over 2 decades to settle claims against members of Congress, with almost no names ever attached to a payment. One case surfaced anyway. Representative Blake Farenthold's office had used $84,000 of that public settlement fund to resolve a harassment claim. Only after the number leaked, and only after public fury forced his hand, did he repay it, the sole instance out of decades of payouts where a lawmaker returned a cent of what taxpayers had covered. Every other settlement, every other name, stayed exactly where the law demanded it stay, sealed. A staffer harmed by a senator does not get a courtroom, a verdict, or a public record anyone can ever check. They get a fund, a form, and a silence that follows them out the door for the rest of their career. Here's the part that should actually worry you: none of this is illegal. It is not corruption in the sense of broken rules. It is the rules functioning exactly as designed. The confidentiality isn't a loophole lawmakers quietly exploit. It is the statute's core feature, written into the original 1995 text and defended every single time reform is proposed on the floor. A system engineered to protect the institution can perform that function perfectly, year after year, while never once breaking a single law it operates under. It cannot be repealed the way you'd expect, because the only body with the authority to dismantle it is the same body it protects. Every senator who might vote to open these records is also a person this exact system might one day shield. Reform bills die quietly in committee, not because they fail a vote, but because they rarely get one at all. The 2018 renaming changed the sign on the door and added a few procedural tweaks. It did not open a single sealed file from the 22 years before it, and none of those files will open on their own, which means the same design principle likely governs institutions far beyond the Senate. Any body permitted to investigate itself, fund its own settlements, and seal its own records will trend toward exactly this outcome, not through conspiracy, but through incentive, quietly over decades. If it happened here, inside the one chamber with the most public scrutiny in the entire country, ask yourself what the equivalent looks like in the agencies no one is watching at all. So the next time you hear that a member of Congress resolved a workplace complaint quietly, ask yourself what you were actually told, and what that single word was built from January 1995 onward to make sure you never find out.